Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Brewing with Jim.
Yeah, hi there, everybody.
This is the show where we take audience questions about all aspects of life, whether that's religious stuff like God and the Bible, or just kind of living life things, relationships, and school or whatever. We try to give our best insight, wisdom, experience to these questions that get submitted to us. And so, Jim, our question for today, which, by the way, this is our 50th episode of Brewing with Jim.
Wow.
Our question for today: how can Christians navigate friendships with people who have different religious beliefs?
Navigate.
That verb is interesting.
It's trendy. I think. Are we talking about how do you have a friendship with somebody with different beliefs? How do you are there cautions that do we have to take another route? Can we be open and expressive? Can we be what is it? Do we talk about religious differences? Do we omit that and avoid it?
Question.
Avoid it.
Trying to define what this means and what navigate means.
It's hard because of the. Go ahead, please.
I'll try to put myself in the shoes of our average question asker, and that means they happen to be probably a sophomore in high school.
Probably high school students,
something
for sure.
like that.
Yeah.
And when I think of that, I interpret this question to mean I have friends who don't go to CVCS,
right?
Who aren't Christians. They might go to they're probably going to another big public school around here or something like that. And I have friends, they're not Christians. We don't talk about religion. And when we do, it's this awkward kind of like, oh, I don't believe that. I do. How do we
do you think
do
that then does that become a forbidden subject? That let's just don't touch it.
It could be. And I think even again from the perspective of, let's say, one of our students at CVCS, they might come at that friendship with a little bit of a fire underneath them from church that says, go and spread the good news. You know what I mean? Like, go and evangelize somehow. And that friendship in their mind could be colored in some way by this desire to share Jesus with that friend.
Absolutely. Right? But I think all people I think there's no exception to this.
Yeah.
All people in friendship benefit from a friendship. Because if there's not some sort of benefit, then the friendship ends.
That's right.
And the benefit doesn't have to, I'm not talking about financial, I'm not talking about being encouraged by, I'm not talking about any of those kinds of things. Sure. It can be just simply, I had a good time.
Yeah.
And we enjoyed each other. And that's benefit too.
Yeah.
So we're in relationships, and the byproduct of the relationship is the benefit of it. I would suggest we don't enter into a friendship for what I can get out of it. You enter into a friendship for what
a business partnership.
That's a business. That's yes, exactly. Or I would want to enter into a friendship for what I can put into it, and we'll just see what unfolds. I don't have an agenda when I make a friend. Certainly, I wouldn't want the friend to be an evangelistical project.
That's right.
And some people are in relationship for that.
Sure.
That I have to spread the gospel.
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
I would not think that that's the situation here. What I would picture it as is that they have. I'll just imagine myself as a student. I have a friend who's a non-Christian, and that friendship already exists. But one day I'm at church or I'm at youth group, and the pastor gives a message about the importance and the imminence of spreading the gospel.
Okay.
And so my heart goes to my existing friend in that moment.
Right.
So that isn't a friendship that is created to spread the gospel, but it's a friendship that exists when I am inspired to share the gospel.
And the gospel is spread.
Yeah.
Is it necessary, do you think, to explain the gospel theologically, or do you just live it? And
that's a great question.
I think the answer is both.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I would not want to pound the gospel into my friend.
That's right.
I am convinced that most people are not argued into the kingdom of God.
That's right.
They follow by example. They're loved into the kingdom of God.
And they'll know we are Christians
by our love,
exactly,
by our bumper stickers, by our jewelry,
by our
preaching, none of that.
Love,
by our love.
Yes.
Jesus used the word friend in a way that I would probably never use it. He called many people friends. The Gospels, the Gospels quote Jesus on many occasions, and one of them was when they were coming to seize him and to bring him to trial and he said, "Friend, do what you have come for." Mm-hmm. And they came and laid hands on Jesus and seized him. Friend? Friend? Oh, wow. Was that sarcasm? No, it was not sarcasm. It's not a place for sarcasm. Yeah. Jesus was really calling them friend. What a friend I have in Jesus.
That's right, yeah.
I have two relationships categorically with Jesus. One is I regard him, of course, who he is. It's King Jesus.
Yeah.
And he is the creator, omnipotent potentate, and creator of the universe who holds the stars in place and all things in place. And then he is also my buddy, my divine buddy who, come on, let's go. Now, that's very different than an imaginary friend. I haven't made this up. But he desires a friendship with me, and I desire a friendship with him. And it's not clearly defined, but he rides in my car with me and helps me find a parking place while he's holding the universe together. Yeah. So those two regards, one in numinous awe for his majesty and glory, and the other in awe and pleasure of having a relationship that is friendly with him. My friend is Jesus, to drop a name. Mm-hmm. I think that in order to have I don't know what I almost said successful. I don't like the word. To have a friendship that is flourishing and mutually enjoyable, we can't be a challenge to each other. Mm-hmm. It's a bad idea to correct somebody's English every time they speak, or their theology, or their politics, or
that's right.
We are above all of that. We enjoy each other, and we want to be in friendship with each other. Be a friend that you would like to have. Be that person.
I love that. It's so simple.
Well, thank you.
And it's,
be that to another person, which means accepting them too. And when they will do something annoying once in a while. I don't know of a relationship where two people love each other that they don't annoy each other once in a while.
That's right.
And
yes,
that's just accepted.
It's very normal.
Without my wagging my finger in their face and trying to correct them and here, let me fix you.
Yes.
So that I'm not disturbed by you.
Yes.
That's a waste of time. That's not good navigation.
That's right.
Of friendship. I think it's okay to enlighten people about the gospel, but I'm not sure that I would answer questions that aren't being asked. Wait and be patient for the questions to be asked. Mm-hmm. They will have a curiosity, perhaps. They may have a conceived idea, it's preconceived to the relationship, about what Christians are like, and they don't like them because they met one.
Yeah.
And and the person was inept at being a friend, inept at loving them.
That's right.
And so, yuck. I don't want to have anything to do with Christianity. I see pastors of churches, big churches, being criticized for how wealthy they are and how sexual scandals, other scandals.
Hypocrisy.
Don't be that.
Exactly.
Don't be that. But that image is in the other person, perhaps. Mm-hmm. There's a reason that they are not a Christian.
That's right.
And that reason doesn't have to be clearly defined. Just be what you would like to be.
Yeah.
be an ambassador for Christ.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think that being with someone who is not a Christian lacks one important concept, element of the relationship, and that is we don't have fellowship with them.
Yeah.
Now, fellowship I'm defining as koinonia, which is a Greek word, and that means we have an understanding of each other because we have the same Father, and we recognize that.
Yeah.
We get out of bed for the same reason in the morning, and that's to glorify God and to be His friend.
Yeah.
We don't have that now. Fellowship is a term that gets thrown around all over the place. Of course, it's more than pie and coffee after the Bible study. That's it's deep. It's deeper, right?
It is.
Yeah. We don't have that, and I know that we don't have it because the Bible says we don't have it. that it's impossible to have that. But if there is, let me just hypothetically create this scene. You have a person has a close friend. I have a close friend, and we're at a big party gathering, and there are lots of people. And my friend is on the other side of the room. I'm on this side of the room, and somebody says something that we have both discussed and agree upon. I can look over at him. He meets eyes with me. We raise our eyebrows in understanding.
And he knows,
And we both know and we understand. We haven't said a word.
Yes.
But we have communicated that, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay, that's koinonia. And we do that spiritually because we have the same Father.
And there's a familiarity, and there's a not inherently only a common language, but a common language is a part of it.
Yes.
But it's familiarity.
It is.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I have much more to say about how to navigate that. I would encourage, I would encourage having more friends who are not Christians.
I was just you pulled the words out of my brain. I was going to say that I feel like there's kind of these two truths that we intentionally or not just pump into young adults or children all the time about friendship. And one truth might be, be careful who your friends are.
Absolutely.
And that is true, right? You need to make sure the people you are hanging out with aren't bad influences and aren't making you a worse person and aren't dragging you away from these beliefs that you hold dear, whatever. But on the other end of the spectrum, there is also this truth to say, like you just said, go and make more friends. They don't have to be Christians. And those two truths sort of live in at least some kind of tension. And I wonder how a student, let's put ourselves in the shoes of a very a rather young adolescent person, someone in one of our classes.
Okay.
And they hear these two competing ideas. They're hearing, from one or both parents, go out and make more friends, whoever is, whatever. And at the same time, they're hearing in different conversations, like, you got to be careful who you're hanging out with.
Well, I agree with you, of course.
Yes.
Be careful who your friends are, but be careful who your friends aren't.
Yeah.
There is...
That's so...
I don't know how to improve on that. Put that... I don't know where that came from. But that, of course, means don't haphazardly eliminate somebody because they're not the same religion, they're not the same age, they're not the same even sexual orientation, they're not the same. Right. They have a different value system. They have the capacity to receive love.
Yes.
We have the capacity to show love, manifest love, and we not only have the capacity, we have the command. Mm-hmm. So do it. Yeah. And to walk through life evaluating people for, do I want you in my life or do I not want you in your life?
Yes.
Acceptance is the most salient manifestation of love
I love that.
there is.
Yeah.
And it's not based on approval. You've probably heard me mantra that over and over.
Yeah.
But it's not based on approval. Well, acceptance, how far into my life?
Yeah.
People are, at different intensities in your life. There's some people you see every day. I had a prior student, graduate of this school, who called me this week, and we met and had a great conversation at the mall food court.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
The best.
And I would not eliminate him because he is so young. He didn't eliminate me because I am so old. And
Sure.
You just keep your heart open.
Yeah.
And let God take care of all of this.
I love that.
But at the same time, not everybody who shows up in your face is an assignment from God, because the needs are universal.
Yes.
But I would be very careful about, should I eliminate somebody just because there's a difference that I can recognize. We have benefits from having relationships with all kinds of people.
Yeah.
Friendships.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then the other side of that coin, maybe the follow-up question is, when is an appropriate time to maybe cut off a friendship? When, like, what, you know what I mean? Like,
well,
when a friendship does become toxic or something, what is that?
Exactly.
What does
if
that
it becomes
mean?
toxic, if
Yeah.
it becomes dangerous.
Yeah.
If you recognize the other person is a manipulator to get whatever he can from you without contributing anything.
Yeah.
If his intent, it can be identified as nefarious or malicious.
Sure.
Then I think it's time to avoid that kind of intent. If we want to fix him, then we need to become a therapist. That's not what friendship is for.
That's right.
Unless we influence and example our behavior in such a way that he is intrigued, he or she, but with me, he is intrigued and wants to ask questions. How did you stay so calm during all of that?
Yeah.
How, and maybe I didn't, but
Sure.
why didn't you say, and well, that wasn't very Christian of you to say something like
Sure.
that. Well, he's got his definition of what a Christian is.
That's right.
It was very Christian of me. It's like,
Yeah.
why does God send people to hell if he's a God of love? Well, God is love, and he does not drag people into heaven. And
Sure.
if you've rejected his friendship, then he's not going to pound you into a relationship with him if it's against your will. He doesn't. Okay. The same thing is true, I think, with lots of people who are in our lives.
Yeah.
I would show acceptance. Come on in, sit down. Be in my life, at least to some extent. The acceptance is the opposite of the rejection. Avoid the rejection, and then there is acceptance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, I love that.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if there's any follow-up to that. I think that's...
Well, the question was,
yeah.
how do you navigate? And I don't
Yeah.
have a logistical how-to answer for this. Just get into the friendship, be the friend that you would want to be, want to have, and accept.
Yeah.
Accept and be patient.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Also healthy to recognize, too, we've mentioned in previous episodes how much people change over time. We talked, I remember about like even in a relationship and in a marriage, you spend so much time together that person invariably becomes a different person over time.
Yes.
And your commitment still bonds you to them, and you learn to navigate new periods of your life together. With a friendship, the same is true. It's just that I think in this context, we're talking about much younger people, and for to be able to tell with confidence, I could talk to any 7th grader. Your friend circle will probably look completely different. It will be completely reset within perhaps 4 to 5 years, maybe even multiple times in that time.
You're talking about the 7th graders?
Yes, yeah.
With each other?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm saying that for a 7th grade friend circle of some kind, they are each going to be changing so much every year, every month, every week.
Yes.
That as you go through 7th grade, as you go through 8th grade, as you go through 9th grade, you're just going to be hanging out with different people all the time because everyone is changing so rapidly left and right. I feel like that's also an appropriate angle to take, given that our audience has a lot of our students in it. And in terms of this question saying, how do I navigate a friendship? It's a healthy perspective to have that your friendships are naturally going to be changing dramatically at that stage of your life.
The nature of them or the friendships themselves? Both.
I think both. Granted, you will probably have some friends that stick through those years, alongside you as friends. But I'm talking even vaguely or generally on the periphery of your acquaintances and friendships.
Well, the friendships need at least one person, hopefully both, excuse me, to be friendship aggressive. Somebody has to maintain. Somebody has to maintain the friendship. We've mentioned a couple of times Grady Sanchez, who was part of this podcast.
I miss that guy.
And I miss him too, but I don't miss him that much because I'm in touch with him every week. And we communicate. And somebody has to do the reaching out. Somebody has to initiate that contact.
Yeah.
Somebody moves to another state and you think, well, this friendship's over. No, it's not. I have friendships in many states, but somebody has to pick up the phone and text or call or and it's not a logistic where I do this every Friday and I call you, but we stay in touch. And if we don't for a while, then I will pick up the phone and make sure that we're in contact. Somebody has to do that. Many 7th graders, 8th graders do not have the experience or the maturity to understand these concepts that or certainly to engage in these concepts that we've talked about. So what's the best thing to do? Try to do the same thing with them. Now, I don't maintain friendships with junior high kids. And not even high school kids. You have to be careful about these kinds of things,
Yeah.
But once somebody is out of high school and the tassel goes from the right side of the mortarboard to the left, did I say that right? I think so. Yeah. Well, I know it's left, but I didn't know if I said mortarboard right. Anyway,
I don't even know.
Yeah. Okay. The hat thing.
Like the cap and gown.
Yeah, the cap and gown thing. Okay. The tassel goes to the left at graduation. When that happens, I tell them I am no longer Mr. Brewington. I am Jim.
Yeah.
Because I'm not your teacher anymore.
That's right.
And that's going to require quite an adjustment to change what I call you. Well, make it because and make it right now. Those friendships have continued. I just mentioned a guy who graduated here a couple years ago or last year, and we got together. So somebody has to initiate. Somebody has to put the energy into the relationship to keep it going. There are people who are not socially aggressive.
Yeah.
They won't say hello until you say hello first. They will. They're just not. And I kind of wish they were, but I am pretty socially aggressive.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is a requirement for navigating a friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I love that. That's a great. I feel like this is a great episode in terms of you could probably skip around the playback timeline of this episode at any just click on random points in these first 20 minutes and you're no further than 1 minute away from some really great little piece of wisdom.
Thank you.
We sprinkled them throughout this timeline instead of building to a big conclusion.
Well, and thank you for your contribution too.
Thank you too. This is great. It's what we do.
Let's do the uncomfortable thing.
Let's do the uncomfortable part that you don't like.
I didn't say I didn't like it.
You.
I hate it.
No.
It's good.
I was gonna say you. At
It
least
creates
hint at it. I don't know.
It creates I have to think faster.
Yeah. Well, this is a fun one. I say that every week. I feel like, but this is. I'll say this. This is a special one.
Okay.
And as I mentioned at the beginning of our recording, this is the 50th episode of Brewing with Jim. That's staggering, by the way. This has almost been going on for a full year.
Yeah, that's amazing to me too.
Yeah. The question for you today is that in honor of recording 50 episodes, what have been the highlights of making this show?
The highlights of making this show, one of them, probably highest in priority, is when we get feedback from people who have listened to it.
Yeah.
And I would say positive feedback.
Yeah.
We had some mic difficulties recently, and one of our listeners contacted me and said, "Did you record that episode in the hall?" And I said, "No, yeah, I know. We got it fixed."
Yeah.
The positive feedbacks, which I receive fairly frequently, we do.
Yeah.
That's a highlight.
Yeah.
Another highlight is believing that what we are saying is touching lives for the better.
Yeah.
And that another highlight is when people say that the way we do this is entertaining.
Yes.
And it's fun and they laugh.
Yeah.
That's a highlight. One of the highlights is the actual sitting down and doing the recordings, because neither of us know how this is going to unfold when we start. So
that's right.
Those are highlights. How's that?
I love that.
There are 3 or 4 right there.
Yeah. I've got, off the top of my head, 2 of them.
Oh, tell me.
Yeah. So number 1 has been, I mean this so sincerely, like getting to know you better.
Oh, thank you.
I've been at CVCS this is my 4th year. It's 5 for you, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And we talked, we knew each other. We were acquainted before, I came on to cover for Grady on this show. But ever since I have taken over the co-hosting duties of the show, we've gotten to know each other much better.
Yes.
And it's been really fun spending the time together with you.
Me too.
So that's been a highlight. The second thing that I'm thinking about that's a highlight for me is maybe a little more existential, but I think about, I think about you having the experience that you do, the passion, the wisdom that you do. And I'm not just saying this to pump up your ego, but legitimately.
Well, it doesn't do that because I know most of the wisdom that I have is God's wisdom, and I got it from Him.
That's the best perspective you could have. But the words that you're able to package together come from decades of hard-lived experience in all of these areas, right? And what's brilliant about doing this, and this is the highlight for me, is knowing that this is literally getting recorded and captured and preserved to such an extent that like everybody who's ever lived, you will pass away someday.
Sure.
And the vast majority of human beings that have ever lived and died take their wisdom and experience and stories away with them.
To the grave with them.
To the grave. And it's that information ends up getting lost, right?
Yes.
There is potential. Who knows? We can't pretend that this will blow up to be the most popular podcast in the world and be featured, globally and by hundreds of millions of people.
Right.
But there is at least the opportunity for people 50 years from now, 100 years from now, hundreds of years from now, to look back at Jim Brewington as a person that was an ambassador for Christ and that was able to package this wisdom together in a format that is compatible and accessible and just out there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My desire is similar, but it's slightly off that target. I would like for people to be able to look back at the wisdom and not me.
Yes.
To look at what has been recorded and what has been helpful. And I won't be remembered. I mean,
Sure.
But I agree with you in concept that there have been so many experiences in my life, and good things happen in my life and horrible things happen in my life from which I have learned. I want that recorded too. I'm writing a book right now.
Yes.
It's my second one, but I don't know if it'll ever get published, but it has to do with little pithy paragraphs of these kinds of things that we talk about.
Yeah.
Add humor to it and put it into something that can be obtained, held on to, read, enjoyed far after I'm gone.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So good point.
Beautiful. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for doing this show as always.
Thank you.
Is such a joy.
Couldn't do it without you.
Oh, that's no, I know. No, I'm just kidding. Friends, thank you for listening as well. Audience, we're gonna wrap this up. I feel like this is as good a time as ever.
Yeah.
We are again just so grateful that you're listening to Brewing with Jim. Please reach out to us if you would. We have an email address that is brewingwithjim@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you, hear about you personally, but where you're listening from, how you heard about the show. But of course, too, we would love your questions, and that is the material that we use to develop our episodes together. So please send us your questions. Send us an introduction or just to say hi or anything you appreciate about the show. That's, again, brewingwithjim@gmail.com.
Good.
Thank you, as always, for listening. Jim, final word.
Final word?
Yeah.
Goodbye. No, take care, everybody. It's good. It's fun to be with you.
All righty. Bye-bye. The topics that are covered and the answers that are offered during episodes of Brewing with Jim are designed to mine the wisdom attained from a life of pastoral ministry and care. They do not constitute professional or clinical training or expertise in the areas of counseling or mental health. CVCS and its podcast network want to provide a platform for the discipleship of our community. Brewing with Jim is our attempt to foster that environment in a format that is accessible for everyone to participate in. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed during the show are the speaker's own, and they may or may not represent the views, thoughts, or opinions of Capistrano Valley Christian Schools or its faculty. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only. This episode has been a production of the Capistrano Valley Christian Schools Podcast Network. Capistrano Valley Christian Schools is a Christian JK through 12 school in San Juan Capistrano, California. Be sure to check out, subscribe to, and leave a review of this show and the other shows on our network on your podcast player of choice. Doing so supports the school community in a multitude of ways. For more information about the CVCS Podcast Network or any of our other shows, check out cvcs.org or email podcasts@cvcs.org. On behalf of the whole network, this is Mr. Jasper saying thank you again for listening and stay tuned for more.